Pleasure to be here with you. Pleasure to be here with everyone, and pleasure to be creating more opportunity and connectivity all throughout the metaverse. My name is Brandon. I'm the Chief Experience Officer at Terra, and I'm also here with my colleague.
I'm Ryan. I'm the Chief Metaverse Officer here at Terra.
And at Terra, we are metaverse builders, we are product and service developers, and we are platform developers. And together we have found a lot of opportunity for not only ourselves, but for our enterprise clients to bring them to metaverse worlds just like Decentraland, a metaverse world that is quite mature and evolved amidst the other metaverse worlds that are out there. And we've been able to generate a lot of success for those we work with. So it's a pleasure to be here with the community that's been developing so much on this front. Ryan, do you want to talk a little bit about how our company started and how we've grown?
Yeah, so Terra was founded around March of 2021. Previously, just so you get a little bit of background about me, I had created a company called Bear NFT, which has been active in Decentraland since I guess around the same time that the Terra was created. I think Terra was figuring out what they were doing though. At the time, we were starting to activate in the metaverse during concerts. We did To the Moon Festival, we did NFTs Are Dead for Halloween, and we've activated a couple other times as well. And then Terra came and approached us, and we ended up starting working together, and there's kind of history there in terms of becoming one company. And from there, we've now been able to, as Terra, build some of what we hope are some of the most memorable experiences that Decentraland has had. We've brought back the Miller Lite Bar 2 different times, third now for the Metaverse Music Festival. We can talk about that since the event page is live, so go RSVP for that if you want. And that'll be 4 different nights. And then we also, worked with Estee Lauder, Bacardi for Angels Envy, CBS Studios for Ghost, and continue to, build more and more activations and bring, we hope, great experiences for all the users in Decentraland. And we've been having an amazing time doing that and engaging with the community and engaging with the foundation itself.
And the foundation has been, instrumental and very helpful in not just creating opportunities for groups like ours and brands to enter their metaverse world, but they've just remained headstrong, and they have stuck to what's important to them in terms of building the community and building the world in a really powerful way, so that it remains open and accessible to all, because that's something to really consider. We don't want to have environments, whether it's for individuals or even enterprise corporations, like they can't afford to be in a place that could suddenly make swooping changes and alter the way that they're able to engage with their customers. Just as users want to have the freedom and accessibility and all the freedoms that they enjoy throughout the real world, they want to have that in the virtual world too. And that's definitely, those are sentiments that Terra supports as well. I think that one thing we want to focus on as a business, but also as individuals, Ryan gave a little bit about his background. For me, for many, many years, I've been very interested in VR and AR and mixed reality. And when there was an Oculus Dev 1, I was, taping a magic leap to the front and trying to do the hand motion things, and like it wasn't great, but you knew that the technology was definitely going somewhere. And this was now 10 years ago, and capital was surging into the space, and it really felt like there was this transcendental leap that was going to happen. And it did, and it didn't. But now, with the way these metaverse worlds are unfolding and growing, you can really feel it. You can feel that things are taking root and taking hold, and there's so much more equity of all kinds coming into this space. There's so many businesses that are investing into the future of what they're doing in the metaverse. A lot of our clients come to us and they want to dip their toe. They want to try out what an activation looks like and feels like. But very quickly, they're interested in understanding what the next 2 to 3 years of their relevance in the space looks like and how they're able to engage with their audience. And not only do we see that happening in a metaverse world like Decentraland, or in a metaverse environment in general, but we see the bridge being built between virtual environments and real world environments. What can start in Decentraland as an activation with all kinds of transfer of digital assets and brand IP and cool this and that? And how can those digital assets, how can those tokens create exclusivity and utility when you go from some concert in the metaverse and you go to the actual tour? What kind of added enhanced experience do you get? And then what can you capture through QR or what other digital asset can you receive in the real concert environment and then come back to a metaverse world like Decentraland and use the utility of that digital asset to unlock the next level of what the virtual experience is like? And we've had activations where we've seen multiple quartiles of the public. They stay in these activations for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and other activations we've seen averages of upwards of 80 minutes. And as far as experiential marketing is concerned, that's objectively pretty fantastic. So the work that we're doing collectively as a community is breaking ground. But how can we expand that even further? I think what's a great activation to note on that, Ryan?
I mean, one of the ones that we saw a lot of fun and then physical to digital. So we could do two examples, but one was the Jimmy John's activation for the sandwiches, where users were able to go into the Jimmy John's restaurant, of the future of the metaverse version that was floating above the water there, and people were able to go in, make their sandwich, choose their different toppings or ingredients. We created a module for it, which was really fun. People could swap things out. They could do crazy things like put cookies or chips on their sandwich. I guess chips isn't that crazy, but cookies a little bit. And from there, people were able to then take what they've put together. We then ship that data over to a website, anonymously, not using an API, and that data was then crunched and put together the sandwich that was then you were able to submit as the opportunity to win and become the meta sandwich. So I'm not quite sure. I don't remember who exactly won, but I know that Brandon was one of those select locations that was able to actually go and get the sandwich that was created in Decentraland and then brought to the masses in the real world as the meta sandwich. And that was something that was really cool to be part of, for one. And the engagement level was really high. The free delivery version of it sold out in about 5 minutes from what we were told. So that's really, really exciting. So these digital activations are really bridging, that physical connection, and we want to keep seeing that get pushed further and further. We want people's identities, their digital identity is just as important to them as their physical identity, and we want, your avatar may not need to eat, but the person behind the avatar definitely does. So it's cool to have your digital version of yourself make that sandwich and supplement your physical self.
And the more that we bring in, so that a very integral point there is that what is happening in the virtual world, people are absolutely paying attention when the next step of the activation happens in the real world. And I think the more we as a community, we always need to be developing what's happening in the virtual world, because the more, we'll just use all the buzzwords, but the more immersive we make it, the more fun we make it, the more nuanced and personalized we make it, the better it's going to be. And people are going to come and they're going to stay, and there's going to be really high replay value, and there's going to be a halo effect for every activation that gets done. But I would say we would only be doing ourselves a favor by looking outside of Decentraland and into the real world, and looking at different brands and businesses and entertainment concepts and ideas, and saying, what in the real world can we reinvent in a unique and different way in a metaverse world? Because as much as you can go somewhere in the world and experience something completely new, if we can do a good job of creating that in a virtual world, now we suddenly have a global point of entry where anybody can immediately teleport into the virtual version of that experience. And it's only going to create more presence and it's only going to bring more attention to the real thing in the real world. But then at the same time, the Decentraland activation, the metaverse activation, is going to be another iteration of the real thing. And I think that's what we're optimizing towards here, and that's what groups like Terra Zero are doing. We know a lot of the other groups here are doing it, and it's a really empowering thing to be a part of this community and building something so fresh and so new. You know, and that's given us the means to hire. Like Terra Zero is growing, and we're looking for talented people, and we want to see more of that. It's not a matter of pride or a flex to say like, well, we're hiring, we're growing, we're doing this and that. That's evidence that the whole space is growing, because if we're growing, then other people are too, and that's what we want to see. We want to see a rising tide lift all ships. Where would you see Terra Zero a year from now, Ryan?
Well, a year from now, hopefully we're continuing to have major activations. One of the things we announced a little while ago, and we're actively putting together still because it's a large endeavor, is we're creating a Terra Zero city that'll be live in Decentraland, hopefully some point next year. Well, definitely at some point next year, but I'll say hopeful for now. And we want to bring the location that, you know, a lot of people can have a lot of fun in, and just have games, socialize, have fun and activities, cool locations to just hang out and, you know, have constant entertainment for when they're logging in. And that's going to be one of the things that like we're really pushing hard for, is creating a reason for people to not only come to Decentraland, but also stay in Decentraland and not, you know, pop in for a single thing and then not come back for a month till the next thing or till the next brand activation. We want people to be there, be engaged with the community, stay engaged with the community. And, you know, the more people that are constantly present, the more people will come, because their friends are going to tell their friends and their friends, you know, so on and so forth. So we're really hoping that by bringing these sorts of activations and, you know, a city and a constant presence, that we're going to be able to, you know, make Decentraland, and at least a piece of it, a very prosperous and populated space.
Yeah, I think, you know, we're not reinventing the concept of doom scrolling inside of a headset in a metaverse world or through your computer screen. You know, we want one thing that's always inspired us, and maybe in a friendly, competitive way, is like we've only seen just really creative people doing really creative and unique things all throughout Decentraland. And that's inspired us to think outside of the box and grow. And it sort of culminates in this hurdle, or this watershed moment, or this line in the sand. We were very, very privileged to be invited to go to Money 2020 this year to speak on how the metaverse can be monetized more in the future. And it's basically just room after room of hundreds and hundreds of bankers and financial entity people, the people who will be investing in the space for years to come. And one thing that we kept hearing across different panels in relation to the metaverse and Web3 and all these cool technologies converging to create the future of what this will be, people kept saying that this was nascent, or that it was emerging or starting. But I think it's clear that we're here now. Like, this has been going on for a while. We've been building it. We've been watching it succeed. We've seen hundreds and hundreds of organic media placements come from major multi-billion-dollar enterprise organizations just because they tried it out. So I don't know what's nascent, but we're definitely here, and we're going to continue building it. And there's been years and years of growth, and there's years and years of growth to come. So I think that's our time. I'm not sure, but pleasure speaking with you today. And we look forward to seeing you in the metaverse.
Yeah. First of all, thanks a lot for amazing speak. I will be waiting for a couple seconds if somebody has a question from auditory, but before it comes, we have one more, like maximum 1 minute. So I will be asking, which kind of challenges do you guys face when making activations for brands in Decentraland? So Do you find it like very challenging onboarding like the brand's users into Decentraland, or like there might be some challenges, so you might have lots of experience about it, and if you would be sharing with us would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. The thing is, and I'm sure everybody's experienced this who's been working with different clients at this point. Even at the largest brands or enterprise groups, there are people on the marketing teams, on the IT teams who are just so excited about getting into this space that they're going to be the champions. They're going to get it over the line. They're going to get the sign off. But for so many stakeholders at these companies, they're unfamiliar, and it's nobody's fault. So just understanding how to convey the possibilities, doing the education, meaningfully engaging with C-suite members and product owners and people like that, the legal teams, the IT teams, and just getting everyone familiar with the fact that because of blockchain and other things, it's probably safer to be in this environment than most of the environments that they play in to begin with. Once you get people to see what the potential is, they convert pretty quickly. So it's just about having the patience to have that conversation, understand that you're going to be starting at ground zero at the start when you work with a new client, and then you will get there. And the same with getting people into the metaverse. Different worlds have different ways to jump in. Decentraland does a pretty good job of giving people an option to sign in or come in as a guest. I mean, that's a pretty low barrier to entry. But you can put out onboarding tools, videos on how to use, like, here's how to make your avatar. You can do all that.
Yep. So yeah, I totally agree with you. So we need to have patience to onboard companies. Yeah, because I'm also like facing these same kind of challenges when talking with big brands and going through long process of decision making. But once they get it, it's converting. So yeah, thanks a lot for joining in. Please don't leave and join us back in the Decentraland to listen for our next vendors. And at the end of the conference, we're gonna have two amazing keynote speakers. One of them is co-founder of Decentraland, Esteban. He will be sharing amazing story about DAOs and decentralization. So yeah, thanks a lot, Esteban and Ryan, and hope to see you inside this Decentraland.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good one.